Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right, so today is another workshop for Skills Block. We're going to unpack next week's Skills Block lessons for small group. You have your sheet to fill out with all of your guiding questions. I'll go over that in a minute. What you're going to do today is you'll work with a partner. You'll choose a Skills Block group for next week to focus on, and then you'll work with your partner to kind of adjust that lesson for next week to make sure it's meeting the needs of the students that are in that microphase. So take a second to just decide with your partner what microphase that you're looking at for next week and just write it at the top of your paper.
I might do middle partial because I have two of my groups for early partial. They're done, so they're going to be moving on to middle. So I'm going to look at that. So here we go.
Once you decide it, just give me a thumbs up so I know we're ready to go on. Everybody good? All right, cool. So what you're going to do is you're going to follow your guiding document here. So each of the questions kind of unpacks your lessons for next week. So I'll just run through them really quickly. So at the top, you have what do we want students to know and be able to do? What's the goal? Remember, we're going back into the actual cycle of the skills block, and I have the links in there for the assessment conversion chart to go back and reference. That's where you'll find like the goal and the focus. How will we know if each student has learned it, and what's the assessment of that? So think about how you're going to assess, either that day, one of the days, or throughout the week. How will we respond if some students do not learn it or they don't know it? Meaning, think about what scaffold you're going to put in place. What additional supports might they need to achieve? And then we have how will we extend the learning for students that have demonstrated proficiency? And that could be something that you're doing in the small group or something that is the independent work for the rest of the week, right? So independent work that follows, how you're going to push some of those kids too. And then last, as you're thinking, like after you answer all of those questions, you're really focusing on what adjustments need to be made to the lesson based on some of your answers above. So, and remember, we'll go back into the skills block assessment conversion chart to kind of look at the cycle as a whole, right? Like those whole group lessons to kind of pick and choose pieces out of there to enhance your small group lessons. Something up here is what you want to notice is depending on which microphase that you chose, these are the instructional practices to kind of pull out of those whole group lessons to really enhance your small group lessons. The other things that are linked in the agenda are the Skills Flex videos. So if you do need a visual or more clarification, you could pull up the video for that too. Any questions? Ready to go? Yep. All right, have at it.
Open up PLC. So EI.
That's such a good one.
I know, it is a
Because
good one.
there's so much you can do with that.
Yeah. ERIROR.
Microphase or early fall, and then it's cycle fall.
Decoding and encoding.
So then I just take like the students will be able to I kind of see
And then also 4 high frequency words, so a roundabout.
So students are introduced to the idea that every syllable has a vowel. They need to identify 2 and 3 phonemes.
Closed syllables.
Yep, noticing the closed syllables and then learning how to split the syllables to decode efficiently. So I'll put that as the goal.
That's a goal. The differentiation of like where they're using
Right.
each pattern, IR, UR, and ER, because that's gonna be their biggest struggle is like where for encoding.
Yeah, yeah. When to know which one.
Yeah.
So that might be good to like incorporate a sort.
Yeah.
Like an encoding sort or something, which we can look in the cycle and see what's in there.
Yeah. And then obviously decoding, I feel like that's easy because they're all gonna have the same sound.
Right.
Also, what I would do, add the sound wall.
Yes, sound wall. And then even, like even printing, like a printable card so they're right in front of them. Make a small reference card
Another way I kind of assess is
for each combination. Even though they're bossy are now, but combinations like stuck in my head. Okay.
I usually like collect that and just kind of like glance
Just glance
at
and
it.
see who's getting and who's not.
So I'm gonna collect
The words too.
like the syllable division worksheet since that's kind of the goal.
Let's see. How will we know if each student has learned it? You know what Pauline actually pulled out last time? The snapshot assessment. That's in the cycle, and like even condensing that down. So I think there's one for each lesson.
Yeah,
It's
so
just
I
the one
usually do that.
cycle.
I usually try
I have to
and
check.
Yeah,
I feel
and then
like
kind of what
that's
you were
really
just
quick.
saying,
The
my next
snapshot.
one would be the
Fill it out
assessment
and
for
just
the
do it
snapshot
all
assessment.
Put it into like one
Like
doc.
there's one
with,
for
like, a little
each
row for each kid.
like lesson in the cycle, but I just picked the one that,
You could add it to the
depending on the
bottom
rubric, like I'll look at the lesson.
Sometimes I like to pull
The
that
snapshot assessment that I usually pull from is like from the decoding one, the decoding
Right,
lesson.
right.
Go to lesson
Yeah.
61. So lesson 61 has like decoding the syllables. So then the materials and then the snapshot assessment at the top
Yeah.
is like a good rubric. And this one is nice because it's only like four questions.
And it
Or
kind of tells you what they need to do.
Yeah. So I kind of like staple them and I write one for
One
each
for each
kid.
kid.
Yeah, that's
And usually like by Wednesday, I kind of take out the
Ah,
snapshot
here we go.
assessment and I'll like try to start checking off what I can.
So yeah, students
then
can
as
And then what
decode
they
the
need,
words
yeah,
with
what
the
they
AR
need more.
or ER
You can
sounds
see
spelled
like,
as
okay, you need more
er.
practice with it.
Because even on the side there's like anecdote, like space for the anecdotes. So when they're reading like the decodable, I'll even like write
Right.
like their if they need help on fluency.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
smart.
snapshot.
And then holding them accountable.
So
for
yeah, I'll write
maybe, like,
snapshot
pulling it out.
assessment.
When you're looking,
Right.
or you're like collecting their data, like their anecdotals.
Right. So one with snapshot assessment. And I think let me see if there's one for each lesson. Because that would be,
Because you really don't even have to condense that. It's so fast.
right, it's so quick. So let me see, lesson 102.
So maybe using that on like a Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, just to see.
Yeah.
And then maybe Thursday because then, okay, so there's one here too.
Oh.
So this one's all the high frequency
Oh,
words.
gotcha.
So
But then there's also
I feel like that,
Yeah, I was gonna say because it's not technically the skill.
yeah, I feel like that can be, like maybe just like an if notice,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like keep that behind, just like,
Or like
oh, they didn't read
a
wood
kid by
correctly,
kid
like let me
basis.
mark that in, just as
Yeah.
something to address,
Like
so.
if you feel like it's the same kids that are struggling with high frequency words every week.
Right. So snapshot assessment, so I'll put for skill and as need basis for high frequency words. Okay. And then just, yeah, anecdotal. Okay, so then the ending is decoding 2-syllable words with R influence vowel IR. So then I feel like it's kind of just like stepping it up a little bit. So that can even be like the push.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know what I
For
mean?
extending the learning.
For extending the learning. Because they're not starting with the 2-syllable like that, but they're getting to it.
Yeah.
So push.
Because also if you have different level, like not necessarily leveled, but like in the same group, obviously you might have a kid who you're trying to decide whether or not they're pushing to the next microphase.
Right,
That's
exactly.
something that you could
And that
use.
can be a decider to help you, yeah.
Yeah.
So decode 2-syllable words with
Like
R.
for the extra practice, like for scaffolds, they do the practice like dot the vowels, underline the consonants.
Yeah, this is
Right,
lesson
like
4 and lesson
CBC.
5 is the
Which microphones did you pick?
middle fall.
So which instructional practice could you pull?
Maybe for this, right here, they can think of.
Another, like if I still see them struggling a little bit,
For this one, I feel like spelling to complement reading because this is gonna
the word
be.
template. So
No.
This is gonna be a hard skill for them to
Mhm.
to learn how to spell
Okay.
Yeah.
because it's IRER
So
and UR.
so start to think about where that spelling to complement reading would be embedded in there. That's something that you're going to have to add in, right? Is it appropriate for that day? Is that more of a scaffold? Is that more of an adjustment at the end?
I feel like that might be like a Tuesday or Wednesday. Like I feel like, or like second or third lesson, because I have 4 groups, so it's like not just 5 days in a row. So I feel like a second or a third lesson, because I feel like the first should just be introducing and not like pushing too much on them. So introduction and like review and going over the passage, and also the syllable sleuth would go for the friends that we're going to push, because it's going to be 2-syllable words at the end of the week.
Right.
So that can even be a thing for them, whether that's in the centers.
So maybe even make a note of like, on Tuesday,
what day
this is what you're gonna
Right,
pull.
right.
On this day, I'm gonna pull this.
Right, because, so like, yeah, I feel like we're kind of doing like whole week overview, but I feel like
Right.
then it's easier to break
What
Yeah. No, I
microphase
agree.
did you pick?
So
early fall.
that's the push.
So
and that
think
can
about
be
what
syllable
instructional
sleuth.
practice would be helpful for early fall.
We did syllable sleuths.
Okay. Each day or a specific day?
I think it's for like the words of the week words. So
Okay.
that's probably
Right.
Wednesday, maybe?
Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday.
Okay. So I'd probably make a
So that
note
would be
like that you
like-
want to use it on a Wednesday. See if there's other ones. Like if you're going to focus on another day, there might be
And then that
another
can
day
even
you want
lead
to pull
into,
in
like,
a different
like,
practice
different
in.
marked as follows. That can even lead into
other
like
one
a
too
mix
that's
between
also
so, like a
good,
syllable
um,
sleuth, but then also having a
is,
signature
do
sword. Like
the
so, like
magician.
they have to
The
have the word
magician?
divide the syllable,
I don't know that
use the
one.
correct version of
That's
the
one that
arbitral
we,
vowel,
the magic
and then
E.
once they read it to themselves, find a picture that
Oh,
matches,
okay.
because then it kind of
Yeah.
gives like a
That's
self-correction.
really full.
Like if there's no picture that
I know,
matches,
and I'm like,
Yeah.
I also think that's
wait a
good for
minute,
just
let
the
me try
magic.
that
Yeah, because
again.
there's magic.
Yeah,
in
magic.
it. So since that's like, I don't know, for just sticking like to the syllables, like,
syllables,
because I think
yeah.
that's
And
the
they're
main thing, like
using
being able to
syllables
decode
because
two
something that we
syllables.
did.
It's
Hold
supposed to
on,
always
so
say
syllables,
SHS.
sleuth,
Another one that I like to use
slash
is
sword.
Yeah, you can
like
do the
the
blending and
spelling
it's
to
like
complement
you can tap it
reading.
out.
Yeah.
Right?
Lesson.
The other thing to
That's
push
lesson
some of them, like
six
do the
or eight.
chaining
Yeah.
too, like swapping out some of
Oh,
the
that's the
sounds.
one that has
So
the
that would be
syllables.
The
something to
syllables
do,
word.
like especially
So
when
it's a
they have
syllable
like
word.
review the words, something like that. So think about like where you would put that in.
So then we were saying spelling to complement and reading to do like day 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'm running out of room in my box. So we should put that in scaffolds, right? Scaffolds? Okay. Spelling to complement reading.
And like an easy tool for that are the Oaken boxes, the sound boxes.
Yes. Day 2/3. And that looks like, let's see where that is in here. Because this is, I feel like, one of the first, first weeks where it's like starting to change a little bit. Like something that was new in this week that we weren't doing before. 'Cause it was such a routine. But like there was like interactive editing. So like the lesson was a sentence, they were editing it together, and that was new. So let's see if there's decodable setting, spelling complement reading. Here we go. So here they are working with high frequency. In your face? Yeah.
But like even for spelling to complement reading, like I don't do like the whole thing.
Okay, so yeah, there it is. Count the number of words in the
I
sentence.
usually
Draw
just
lines,
do-
each line will
I
show
like
where
to,
to
like,
write a word.
Go to the spelling to complement reading like,
Just word list and
portion
then
of the
portion.
lesson.
Which I think that is
So,
like
because it gives you the words like you
such
don't
a
have to
good
think
tool
about
too,
what words
What
you
word should I use?
remember
Right,
each
yeah.
word that they're writing.
I was gonna say.
Like it tells you basket, it tells you, it
Just
gives you all
Just
the
write
words
it
to
down.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not like
You're not
on the
looking at which
fly.
words do I need. He was like, which one have
Exactly. And
syllables?
especially, and that's like.
Yeah, it's all there.
I guess
So
this
spelling to
Um,
complement reading.
Okay,
But
so
with
you're
the
just you are
do not disturb
syllable
the leg
or
temper
temper.
with the girl.
Yeah.
Girl is so weird, but okay. Can I go on the back, Chris? Is that okay?
So I kept those like from the lesson and I just put them in sleeves. So then I can,
And then you can just use it again. over
yeah,
again.
so I don't have to
So
recreate.
let's maybe do that. So I'm just trying to think.
So
My kids,
that's the spelling to complement reading.
Okay.
And
So,
like
like,
the centers.
I'm thinking middle would be
Like,
like Wednesday.
how do we
That
choose
would
the
be
centers for independent work?
the
I mean, it is here.
second time I'm,
I look at the skills
second
block
time I'm seeing my
planner.
green group,
And then on here
and that
has
will be
compound word
the
sort, syllable
third time I'm
division.
seeing my orange group. So I think that'll be perfect
So I
too,
think
because
like
these are
I
also kind
probably
of
would
leveled
use
out,
like
even though
the
they're all
syllable
really full.
sort from the word for
Those
word
are
work.
like-
I would probably
those
do
are
syllable division.
There's different like microphases within the
Yeah,
microphase.
yeah, because that's kind of like what
So
we're
I
doing.
feel like
And then later in the
Some
week,
are
if I need to
closer
change the
pushing
center.
middle full, and some are still
Yes.
teetering on that
Like
line
the
of
kids
late
in
grade.
within those early full groups are all grouped together purposely, you know, so it's like that green group, like they can handle doing spelling to complement reading after.
Right. So just because
it
they're
being just my
because
second
they're all
time meeting
middle
with them.
full doesn't mean they all need the same exact thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So within that middle full, you can split up those groups into more specific. So
Right.
what else have you used to make those decisions?
Well, no, this is, we need to update it. So these are
Oh,
middle
gotcha,
full
gotcha,
now.
gotcha,
That's what they
gotcha.
started out as.
So with those little adjustments in there, like with the groupings, what other tools have you used to make those decisions?
Right.
So that's
What
you're
other
saying,
data sources have you used?
using those like end of cycle
Yeah.
snapshots.
So like, yeah,
End of
star,
cycle,
PMing,
star,
tiers, yeah.
PMs, right? So all of those things are going to factor into like within a phase. You might have the higher end of the
Yeah,
phase,
yeah.
Right.
The lower end of the phase, and right in the middle. And all your like triangulating the data that way is going to help make those little decisions.
Right.
And that's even where like the pushes are gonna come because you know where they're gonna be pushed to next.
Right. So like that's why you green, they'll be fine doing this on the second time of me seeing them. They'll be able to like handle that. Orange, I think it's good that it's the third time that I'm seeing them
Yeah.
to do this
Almost
activity.
2 days of introduction.
Yeah, because they'll the 2 days of introduction will help them more, and then they'll be more prepared for that activity on Wednesday. Whereas green will be fine to do it after one introduction day, and then. So, I'm wondering if like for orange, I'm wondering if I should have a paper ready and not give it to them immediately. But I'm thinking like, okay, if we do that sentence, it was 11 words, right? So like, hold on to the paper,
Yeah.
do it with them, have them repeat the sentence, have them count the words, and then how many words are in a sentence? 11. Oh, awesome. Just because it'll be like one of the first times we're doing it with the word lines in a small group, be like, here's your paper, it has 11 word lines on it.
Yeah.
You know, so like have that kind of prepared for them. So it's not just like little tiny mini lines everywhere. Whereas I think green group will be fine without having that scaffold, like
I was
having
gonna say
that.
orange just needs the scaffold because they're just coming probably from that late pre.
Right. So I'm thinking orange, so it'll be like, which I can easily just like throw together on Canva in a minute. Just have the word lines ready, so then when we go and we do it together and we're going through each word,
You're not wasting time doing that.
being like, your line isn't long enough, or no, that line's too small, or whatever. And then they know for next time, oh, this is what it should look like when we draw our word lines.
Yeah. Because
So
then
that will be.
you're not wasting the time. You're using the time to go through and tap. them
Exactly,
out.
hit the actual skill.
Yeah.
So, and then green group will
What are
just
some
be
of the scaffolds that you're thinking?
blank paper.
Is yellow like similar? If you had to pick.
Yellow, I would say, is close. It's like weird. Like there's some kids that are closer to orange. Some kids, like I feel like Kingston and Hewan are like more there. You know what I mean? And then but like Zana's kind of like right there, teetering to orange, and like.
And for
So
writing
it's like they're kind
practice,
of my teachers. You know.
Because
like the independent writing practice,
I see.
I have them.
Yes, exactly.
I
And that's
have
even
them do,
how
like, a writing
that's how
prompt.
mine is right there, and that's
and then I
how
have like the
he
little
is at the top.
folders
Yeah,
in the office
coffee
hours
hours.
that has
So
like
it's
the
really
high
just like
frequency
dependent,
words
yeah,
as a
on the
resource.
desk.
It has,
Whereas like they're kind of like always on, always ready.
I
have to.
forget what else I put, like I think colors, like color beads, and then just like the alphabet that matches the curriculum. It has like different blends and stuff too.
Right, just have
Yeah, I'm
them
using like shorter because there's a lot of
Yeah.
words on there.
Yeah.
So then I just like cut it down a little bit and then add some
timeline.
Right, and like two kids are like doing it, oh, mine's perfect, and she's like, that's a good idea.
I probably should
So
do that one too.
orange, all
But
of
for
them
writing, I
have
just do like the
this.
writing
writing
prompts.
Yellow,
Just taking her timeline. We only have 14
And then as a resource,
Right, right.
Uh-huh.
We're back with some of those, and then you can have like another, like a
Nicholas, maybe.
because also
He's another one you never know.
he's another one because.
What are some of the scaffolds that you think you're putting in place?
So for the,
He is super high with
what is that exercise? The spelling
Exactly.
supplement
Spelling
reading.
Not one page.
So when we give them the words to
So
spell,
I'll
instead
have
of
that
just
on
being a
deck for
regular
him.
whiteboard, they have the
Okay, so that's one I'm
the
The syllable split,
then-
right?
yeah, the syllable
Okay.
split
Yeah,
template.
Yeah.
Sound.
To help them. I forget what it's at. You had it up
Add it
there.
up to-
Oh, you have it? What is it?
The syllable split template.
Do not
Who's
disturb
the other one?
the blood.
I don't know, but it's
yeah,
just
it's-
two lines with like a space in it.
Yeah, it's
so
like
they can
this,
see
like
the
2
first
lines and then, yeah.
So that's a one.
That's
It'll help them pull
Yeah.
out the syllables, right?
Yeah,
And then another one is like doing the syllable sleuths.
the sleuths, yeah.
Showing them to dot the vowels, underline the
Underline
consonants,
consonants,
and where to
So
split.
there is you are and disturb.
Using this sentence and this activity is not going to be in the skills block planner.
Right.
So making sure that
Yeah. And these
like
sounds
what are
actually
they doing with the
hard.
sentence?
And especially with
Right.
some
How are they
Right.
like, using that sentence?
Sometimes they're
How would you explain that?
in their home
the
language,
word?
they don't actually make those sounds, right? So
Like intentionally.
actually,
Yeah.
Like how can you use that activity
Something like
intentionally,
sound
even if they write it and they're
what
using
your
the spelling
mouth
complement
looks
reading
like
and then the
your
next
tongue
day it's
is
pulled
very,
back
like,
out.
in
Right.
relation
Or
to
something
your
like
Yeah,
that.
just something to kind of refer it
It's
again.
gonna be helpful for
So
them.
like the adjustments that you're gonna use is like pulling out,
Yeah,
So for like the writing ones, you could put those diagraphs, like words with.
you're pulling out
Yep.
activities
Okay.
and
Yeah.
strategies.
Words.
And they're just such an easy warm up, like when they're walking over to the table.
Right, right. It can go
That's
through
just-
really
yeah.
quickly.
Yeah, what is Sam's,
Which will be good for them each day.
Yeah.
Anything else you feel like they're gonna like struggle with? I was
Um,
gonna say, what's in that plan? What about the decodable?
I know, let's take a look at that. Sam's hammer.
So give yourself about a minute to kind of wrap up thoughts, and then we will start to go around and share.
Something I do with them is I give them like a flare pen, and like on the days that it says
Using punctuation.
like find, see it's gonna be like find the ER and then find IR. Like I would give each kid a different color flare pen, go through, find all the ER, circle, circle, circle. If I'm pink and you're blue, your flare pen, and then put your pen down. Okay, switch it with a partner. Each combination would have a different color on their decodable
Oh, that's
for differentiation of like
smart.
what they're seeing.
Oh, I like that because I usually just do highlighters, but then it's all the same color. I
So let's,
like that a
Bring
lot.
it back together. What I'm going to do is I will go through each question. I'm not going to go through the goal because everybody's goal is going to be different. But what I will do is we'll go through each question and we'll kind of just go around the table. If you want to share out like some of your ideas around that question. So that one of the first questions is will you know if each student has learned it? Like what is the assessment? Anyone want to take a crack at that one?
I can.
Go ahead.
So Paulina had the idea like a couple weeks ago or so. She's using the snapshot assessments from the lessons within the whole group skills block.
Okay.
So using the snapshot assessments because they're very short, just like a quick checkbox. There's one at the beginning and there's also one at the end. So like Taylor and I were kind of talking about using the one at the end kind of for an extension. Because the one at the end of this skill for a middle full is IR, UR, and ER. It's 2-syllable words, so using like the syllable sleuth and that snapshot assessment on top of obviously the skills block, like that lesson assessment for lesson 5, just because it's like a more detailed for what you're doing that week. So I think that would be cool to see.
Yeah, if you have not seen them, it's a really good resource if you haven't used it yet, because it does break down the skills each day in the whole group lessons, but it's helpful really for your anecdotals for the small group lessons. Anybody else want to share something about assessment?
You just said they're the snapshot.
They're called snapshot. They're optional.
Okay.
They're in like the material.
I was gonna say I've never used them. Paulina used
Yeah.
them, so
You have to do some digging to find them,
Okay.
but
And it's not in every lesson.
It's on the computer.
So yeah, if you go into like the lesson slides where it's like lesson materials about this lesson, go into materials and it'll say snapshot lesson or snapshot assessment optional.
Oh, perfect. Oh.
And it's just a small
It's
little
just
checkbox
really
too.
small.
It's super quick.
Can I just see
Yep.
that sample?
So you know how like at the bottom of the skills planner,
Yeah.
you have the check boxes down there? These are a little bit more detailed
Yeah.
because it'll break down like, will they be able, can they say the sound? Can they write the sound? You're good.
Difficulties. There, yeah.
So it's super short. And you
And it's
just
just a quick
check
check.
in the notes. So like the anecdotals, it's kind of, you don't have to write everything, all the skills, it's just right there. I know, I didn't know they existed. Snaps for Paulina.
Yeah. Good job, Paulina.
Anybody else have an idea for your assessment?
One thing too, just like observations, but also like the independent work, like for word work, like if I collect their worksheet, if they had a syllable division worksheet, I could check that really quick to see if there's any misunderstandings to clarify for the next lesson.
How about scaffolds? What scaffolds are we putting in place?
Incorporating the sound wall and the sound wall cards. And then even I was saying maybe just making a small reference for each combination, just so they have it right in front of them, like at the table, and they don't have to like look around the room, like look for the sound wall, or it's just right there. And then the spelling to complement reading activity, which is from the whole group lesson, pulling that in and adding that into.
And what's your goal? What's the focus for that?
That's spelling to complement reading, so it's writing a sentence that has 3 words in it that have each combination or our controlled vowel in it.
And then what's the focus for the week?
focus for the week?
The skill.
Oh, ERIRUR, decoding and encoding.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Sound wall, very important to bring in when you can. Just remember, we have a high ESOL population, right? So some of those sounds are not going to be made in their home language. We had this conversation when I stopped by you, but like some of those sounds are not going to be made in their home language. So actually going through the sound wall and going through the motions of where are my lips, where's my tongue, all of that, and actually practicing some of that with some of your students is going to be helpful. Any other scaffolds?
So with our story, the goal was to use Y as a long I, and one of the words in the story was spy. So I have level 1s and level 2s in my group as well, so I wasn't sure if spy is a word they would understand. And that's not an easy word to explain anyway, so not just visuals, but maybe gestures, or like use it in a sentence, provide an example of like a example from the story, or like a scene, or like a moment, or like refer to maybe something like a cartoon that they know, to build that background knowledge, because this story revolves around what the spy is seeing or looking for. So like to give them access to that text, they would have to know what the text is actually about.
Right.
So what's another scaffold we said?
I love the idea of a cartoon though, because then you could quick show, like you have your computer in front of you, you could quick show like a clip of one of their like favorite cartoon characters like being a spy, and it might click.
Right, right. So just be mindful of what the story is about, not just knowing how to read the word, but make a connection to the story to answer some of the comprehension questions.
How about extending the learning?
So we noticed that in the end of the cycle snapshot assessment, because the beginning of the week snapshot assessment, it was just decoding and encoding ERIRUR words. But then at the end of the week, it was 2-syllable words with ER, IR, and UR. So we were thinking that, you know, our friends that have hit the original snapshot assessment, they got it pretty quick, they're showing mastery of it, that we can do that as a push and even incorporate that with a syllable sleuth. And then maybe in word work have it be, you know, a 2-syllable word with ER. They have to decode it and divide the syllables, and then just to make sure, almost as a self-corrector, have a picture sort to match with it. So it's kind of like once they read the word, can they find the picture? If they can't, then okay, maybe I have to go back and try that again. And having that as a word work center for independent work.
Yeah.
Especially because we said like Taylor sees 3 of the same microphase, but within that microphase there are her like mini microphases. Like her green group is a little bit higher to pushing up to the next microphase, so like really making sure that the centers within the microphase are differentiated too. And like that's a really good one, because some kids who are in the same microphase who maybe just got there wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
But yeah.
And that was part of the conversation that we were having, right? Like, so yes, we have the phases, you have the microphases, but even within those microphases, there are kids like on the higher end of it, on the lower end of that, right? So and we led the conversation to, you're using all of your data to make those decisions, right? You're triangulating a lot of the data, your STAR, your CBMs, your progress monitoring, right? Your cycle assessments, even some of the work that you're seeing in the modules too, right? That's all informative to the microphases. Anybody else for extending the work or independent work? How about the last question, adjustments? You kind of, and you can tell as you answer the questions, you're already starting to do it, but it's like, what's one thing that kind of stood out to you?
I mean, pulling out activities from the whole group cycle is so important, because sometimes the time we see them is so short. So the narratives for your small group sometimes don't have a lot of meat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to junk them up yourself. So using the whole group lessons is a great way to do it. And I think pulling out, even if it's like we said, I think we only pulled out one activity, but now it's able to stretch and really like pull for that whole group for the whole week and really make sure and emphasize.
Every minute's super intentional.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the thing. Every minute's super intentional, right? So that's something to kind of take away from it too, that you have a short amount of time. So make sure that every minute is intentional and you're pulling in. So like what you're saying is like pulling in some of the instruction, like the instructional practices, right? And as I like bounced around, everybody was able to pull something in, right, to enhance those lessons a little bit. So your exit ticket is on the agenda. One thing that stuck with you today, one thing that you're going to try for next week.
Can that be our slogan? Every minute is intentional.